Hey guys, I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Whether you're watching this in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening, I'm glad you're here. If you would, if you feel so inclined, please hit that subscribe button down below. It also helps my videos get seen by more people. You can also hit the bell notification icon to be notified when I release new videos. And I have set up channel memberships. You can read about those down there. No worries. If not, it's just something that I popped on the channel because I was told that I needed to. But anyway, it is what it is. I love all you guys, members, subscribed or not. I'm just appreciating the amount of time when you stop by and visit. Today I wanted to talk about an older knife. I want to do a long-term review and really express what I feel is a fantastic knife. I just actually hit that against my fingers, guys. The D10 on this little top flipper, this Kizer Genie, is fantastic. That was a absolute Javon fail. It does have a flipper deployer. It is also a front flipper. It is part of Kizer's Blade series, if I'm not mistaken. The Blade series, you see a lot of it in titanium. This is what I would call a super cool gentleman's folder. It is shred carbon fiber handles with very, very light, thin liners inside there. Let me grab this lamp and let's take a peek. See those little tiny liners in there? Those real thin inset liners. So it's a very, very light knife. It's S35VN because this knife I would imagine is many, many years old. It was a knife that caught my attention when I first came back into the collecting hobby and started picking up knives again. It was at the time what I would consider above what I was willing to pay for EDC knives, but we all know how that changes as we mature through the game or get deeply more disturbed and spend more money on knives for whatever reason. When it came time to actually acquire this knife, if I'm not mistaken, I can't remember where I picked this knife up. It was, I want to say probably Blade HQ or Knife Center. I was buying a lot of Kizer Vanguard series at the time, and this knife was, I think it listed for around $200. I think when I got it, it was on sale because Kizer does that quite often. They'll blow out some of their older models, and this was an older model that I think is still available. I think this knife you can get through Kizer's store on Amazon. The blade actually reminds me a little bit with that reverse Tanto, which of course this is just all the blade spine, and then you've got this nice sheep's foot blade with the reverse Tanto, and we might as well try to cut some. I'm out of coupon books, guys, so I'm having to cut up a random magazine, but this knife is very thin behind the edge. It's got excellent cutting geometry. I think I've got this sharpened at 17 degrees per side, and it is, you know, very thin. So it is very slicey, and for me, it's a great EDC for when I go to the office or if I'm doing a light carry and I'm wearing khakis. It weighs almost nothing in the pocket. This clip is ingeniously done. It has no rotation side to side. It's recessed into that scale. It's very light, but yet has good retention. It's a titanium clip. So put it in my... I mean, it literally goes in and out of pocket, one hand, no problem. And guys, the Kizer Genie is a hollow grind, so this little knife is, or what I call the quintessential gentleman's folder. Like I say, I love carrying it to the office. I love having it because I can slow roll it if I want to, even though it's got very snappy detent. But it's easy to front flip. You've got this nice jimping that doesn't roll that corner, but it doesn't have to because it terminates there to where there's nowhere to really slip off of it. So once you give it the flick, it's going to open. So this was probably one of the first front flippers that I became really fluent with because it's hard to get it wrong, right? It's just that easy. I will say that there's fantastic access to the lock bar. I can get to that lock bar, no jimping on it. It's very comfortable. I could flip this knife all day long. One thing that is a little bit awkward, only because I'm used to bigger knives that are thicker, that are wider, taller, so to speak, is getting my middle fingers. It's not natural for me to put my finger in that hole, although I could easily just adjust my grip ever so slightly to get my middle finger into that hole. Thumb flick is very easy. And again, all types of top flicks. And it's a great cutter. I want to say, let's get out our Ben Peterson NAFCO titanium ruler that I always struggle reading and see what we're talking about here. And then we'll do some size comparisons. So our blade length is going to be right under 3.5 inches. So you've got a nice long blade that is about 3/4 of an inch this way, right about 1/8 of an inch here before it tapers down on this point. But it comes down with this hollow grind to a really keen edge. And like I say, I've sharpened it. You can see that there's not a huge edge bevel on that, but I took it to 17 degrees. It was probably 18, maybe 19. But it was always very slicey with that hollow grind. Just really does a good job cutting just about anything. I would think for food prep, for pruning, for cutting into boxes, for cutting anything that you'd cut on the daily, right? The handle comes in at 4 1/4. The overall knife is going to be 6. Let's do it this way. We're going to call it 8 1/4. I'm going to say it's going to come in right around 8 1/4 overall, and that's with my shoddy measuring. But let's compare it to some other knives that we probably have an idea of or have held at some point. This is the Cold Steel 4MAX, which is just as long as the 4MAX Scout, and it is much bigger than the Kizer Genie. This is the Civivi Baby Banter, which is going to be much smaller than the Kizer Genie. Let's look at it next to the Benchmade Bug Out. It's about 1/4 inch longer than the Benchmade Bug Out, maybe a 1/2 inch longer. Paramilitary 2. Let's do this. Let's get all scientific. So yeah, it's about, I'd say, a good 1/2 inch longer than the Bug Out, and probably an inch and 1/4 shorter than the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. But when you look at the thickness of the knife, again, being a gentleman's folder, the way I look at it, it's going to be much closer to that Bug Out than it is to that Spyderco. The blade stock, of course, is going to be thicker, but the final edge bevel, I bet you, are pretty close. You've got a titanium backspacer here. And I just think it's a good looking knife, guys. It's been one that has served me well. I would say if they're still out there, I would check Amazon first, or I would just go to Google and Google Kizer Genie. And you will come across this knife. I think they make it in a couple of other variations. I've only seen the carbon fiber, but it's a super light knife. It's perfectly balanced right there where my finger goes. See that? It's just got great in-hand balance. I can get up further on that blade if I need to. From a sharpening choil standpoint, it's done very, very well, I think, because your plunge grind's way back here. Again, on bearings, super smooth, just a great knife, guys. One that's definitely might have been forgotten over time, or people don't think about it much anymore, but I still carry this knife quite a bit, and I keep up with a lot of the latest quote-unquote greatest that people are raving about. And I do remember when this knife was brought to my attention, and it was from content creators that pointed it out. I forget exactly who, but it did like what I saw, and I wanted to kind of resurrect this little knife, the Kizer Genie, and share it with you guys, those of you that have seen it. I think you'll agree with me that it's a great knife, and those of you that have it, go out there and see if you can find one if it's something that suits your style. If you're looking for that gentleman's folder, a little bit upscale, but available at a very good price, in S35VN, great steel, guys. You know, I'm not the steel nerd, but I know S35 is good. I'm not going to be cutting thousands of feet of cardboard with this, but I will be opening packages. I will be cutting paracord. I will be cutting paper. We'll be cutting fruit. No telling, you know, you could use this knife for just about anything. I could use this knife to have a steak dinner. So yeah, if you're looking for just a good all-around kind of upscale EDC knife that's not going to cost you an arm and a leg, check on the Kizer Genie, guys. Thank you again so much for stopping by. I appreciate it. It's more than you'll ever know. I love this community and love each of you so much. I do ask, because I care, that you look out for the guy or gal to your left. You look out for the guy or gal to your right. You don't take criticism or different opinions personally, and you don't get angry at people just because they have a different opinion than you. Kind of means move forward with love in your heart and choose debate before hate. And if you're my brother Pocket Metal and you need hate therapy, that's okay too. Just use it in with wisdom, and always apologize. Don't hurt each other, guys. I love you all. Thanks for everything you do. If you're so inclined, subscribe to the channel. Peace.